In a recent episode of Gravity Falls, we finally get to see an episode of Ford getting to do some stuff other than what he did in his first appearance, when all he did was tell flashbacks and set up his whole backstory. We get to see that sort of action hero, intelligent explorer, tough guy thing that he turned into after being lost in the multiverse for so long. And we see how he gets to be the perfect partner for Dipper and Dipper's interests in solving mysteries and so on and so forth. In this story, Dipper wants to play a game reminiscent of Dungeons and Dragons, but can't find anyone to play with. Zeus is off doing the other nerdy thing of LARPing. Mabel is into the idea of playing the game but finds learning the instructions too boring, and Gruntle Stan just immediately dismisses the game as nerdy and will have no interest in it, won't even give it a try. This represents the three types of personalities that you can find when a person wants to play a round of D&D or something else of that nature. The person who's super nerdy but has other interests, the person who enjoys fantasy and imagination but doesn't enjoy all of the rules and regulations, that would be myself, and the person who dismisses it as ridiculous without giving it a second thought, which is the majority of the rest of the world. As Dipper begins to bond with Ford, he learns some more interesting secrets, and we set up plot points that are going to come into play in the future. A magical dice that can literally roll anything to happen randomly, and a special dimension that's trapped inside of a bubble. The dice gets used once in this episode and causes the Dungeons and Dragons characters to come into existence, and it gets stuck in a safekeeping spot at the end of this episode, so maybe it can come into play later in the series as we get closer to the finale, which is probably also when this pocket dimension thing will happen as well. Dipper and Ford get captured by the wizard who was freed from the game, and he wants to eat their brains because of how intelligent they are, and they'll make him more intelligent in response. So it's up to Mabel and Stanley to be the ones to help save the day. When they come in battling and fighting their way to rescue Dipper and Ford, the wizard turns them into game pieces and forces Mabel and Stanley to play the game. And that's when they discover that there's actually something to this game that they can enjoy, as it appeals to both Stanley's love for gambling and being dishonest, as well as Mabel's love of imagination. And together they make the perfect team to play the game. The interesting stuff is that I have been listening to people talk about Gravity Falls over YouTube, and there's been a speculation that maybe Dipper might be at least partially still possessed by Bill Cipher. And now I'm seeing where this could be starting to unfold and be an accurate prediction. Also, another prediction has been that Dipper and Mabel are going to go down the same path as the two Stans, and they're going to end up fighting and breaking up their relationship. I can also see the seeds of this starting to form in the show. It's almost as if the once fun and mystery-filled and unpredictable Gravity Falls is starting to become a little bit too predictable, as already so soon the moves of the next few episodes is being very clearly telegraphed. They'd have to pull something very surprising for us to not see it coming if we're already starting to head down the path of believing these online YouTube predictions. But here's some of the evidence that supports each of these two predictions. In the support to Dipper and Mabel being like the two Stans and fighting and going down that same path, we see how Dipper is a lot like Ford with his intelligence, and Mabel is a lot like Stanley with her hyperactiveness and her sense of humor. The part where they seem to be fighting and drifting apart comes into play at the point when Dipper says that Uncle Ford gets him and understands him and doesn't tease him like she and Grundle Stan always do. And she seems to be a bit hurt by the fact that he thinks she always teases him. Like she sort of has been inadvertently hurting him this whole time, and now that's starting to become something of a concern. It definitely feels like that little conversation is starting the ball rolling on, putting the strain in their relationship. It'll be perfectly believable later in the series when that comes to head. And then there's the part about Dipper possibly being possessed by Bill Cipher, or at least Bill Cipher using Dipper in some manipulative way to gain intelligence and learn information. And this is the part where Dipper has just been entrusted with an extremely important secret, and he's been told to tell this to nobody and to keep the secret and to not reveal what's happened. And this could possibly be proven, the theories on the internet could be proven factual by the very fact that Dipper's been entrusted with such a huge secret. It only makes sense in writing that Dipper would be the one to use that secret to some kind of evil advantage. It would make sense that Dipper would do something evil with this secret if he was unknowingly giving information to Bill Cipher. I imagine that the entire thing of Gravity Falls at the conclusion will at some point involve the imprisoned other dimension being let loose, possibly by Bill Cipher, and it will somehow cause some kind of problem for the characters on the show. And in order to solve the problem, they'll probably have to resort to the infinity dice and the infinite possibilities that it can randomly conjure up. Even though the dice is dangerous, its rolls will probably be able to do things like help save the day out of nowhere, reset tragic events, and roll back the clock of time, cause the future and the time baby and the time traveler police to come into existence, cause all sorts of disasters to happen, but also simultaneously cause them to not happen. In fact, if there's a multiverse out there, we might be taking trips through it and seeing multiple different outcomes of Gravity Falls, both good and unfortunate. In fact, it feels like a lot of shows are getting involved deeply in time travel and multiverses and alternate outcomes to potential situations. Those are my thoughts on the episode and some of the stuff that I've been observing. I'll be returning to the internet now to learn all of the conspiracy theories and details that people have learned about this particular episode and hear out some of their theories. Anyhow, until next time, thank you for watching and good night.